We welcome you to the WIHS Journal. Today we're privileged to have with us Dr. Greg Smalley, Vice President of Marriage and Family Formation at Focus on the Family. He'll be our special guest speaker at this year's WIHS Gala on October 19th. Greg, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to being out there with you guys.
Tell us a little bit about your role there at Focus on the Family and what your vice presidency overseeing marriage and family formation is all about.
Yeah. So having the title Vice President of Marriage, of course, what an honor and privilege to do that. Puts a little bit of pressure, though, on me in my own marriage of 32 years. But I've been here, I think 15 years now, kind of in that role.
Okay.
In really, what we're trying to do is we want to help prepare couples who are getting married to kind of walk into that as best prepared as they can be. So we prepare couples to get married. Most of what we do are really trying to help couples who are married to strengthen their marriage. So we do all kinds of content, podcast events, those kinds of things.
That's great.
And then of course, when couples have those really hard, challenging seasons, we're trying to save marriages. So we have a marriage intensive program called Hope Restored.
Yes.
We've been doing for about 20-some years.
Yep.
So we have that. We just developed a program called Marriage 911, and that's for churches to train their mentors to work with couples in crisis. And so that's been a whole new fun part of what we're doing, because we love the local church and to encourage them on how to work with couples in crisis. We love doing that. And at the end of the day, we want to help couples to learn how to invest in other marriages, because as much as Focus has an influence, it pales in comparison to the husbands and wives, the couples in every church who want to help strengthen marriages, maybe don't have a vision or maybe don't think that they can do that. And so we call these people marriage champions. So we are working with couples who want to invest in other couples on how to do that. And so that kind of is the gist of what I get the privilege of doing here at Focus.
That's exciting. And before we're done, we'll give you a chance to let folks know how they can contact you guys and be a part of all that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks.
Now, you're obviously the son of Dr. Gary Smalley, well-known and loved author and conference speaker on marriage and family for many years. Can you take a minute or two and just share your growing up experience in that family?
Absolutely. It was so fun. He would load up our family when he first started doing marriage events, and we were in an RV. And he would drive to these different places where he was going to do a marriage event. And
no kidding.
I didn't really know what he was doing. I just thought, man, we do a lot of camping every weekend. And it was funny. It was only till I got a little bit older that I started to piece together, wait, that's why he's never around when we're out playing around at the campsite. And so I tell you, growing up, hearing people just say, boy, your dad helped save our marriage. I mean, I kind of had a sense that, something weird around marriages, he was doing something. But as I got older, to really see how God was using he and my mom in I tell you, there are certainly kids of ministry people or pastors who had such a bad experience that they've walked away, either from the faith or whatever. Yeah. And I tell you, my dad was the same person who he was up on stage as he was, at home with us.
Yes.
And he genuinely tried to the best of his ability, still human, made mistakes, to really walk those things out that he taught and he talked about. And so it became very easy as I, graduated college, dreaming about, what does my future look like, to really go, I want to follow in those footsteps. I'm going to keep that legacy that he started working with couples going. And so it's been great. It's been my wife and I have been doing this now for a long time. She's a marriage therapist. We get to speak together and create content, and it's just such a fun part of our legacy. Anytime we're doing an event, I guarantee someone's going to come up and tell me about a story, that of when they heard my dad talk, and I love that. And so, he's been with the Lord since 2016, and I still feel like every time we go out to hear the stories from people who were impacted by his ministry. I love that. It feels like he's right there with me still.
What a gift. Thank you for sharing that. On that note, when did faith in Christ become your own? How was it that God started to make it clear that you were supposed to follow in your father's footsteps and make marriage and family ministry your life mission?
Yeah, we live here in Colorado, and so there's about 58 14,000-foot peaks. And so I've done about 25 of those.
Wow.
Climb to the top.
That's really great.
And what's always struck me when you get to the top, there's no grass, there's no growth, there's nothing. It's just rocks. It kind of at that 1,000-foot height. And it made me realize that growth happens, way down below in the valley. And that's the same is true for us in life, that, those mountaintop experiences when things are going great, which is fun, and who, doesn't like those seasons, but that's really not where you're growing. And so for me, God used these valley times, these hard seasons, and these challenges that I went through as an individual to shape kind of my faith in Him. And that's what it takes,
yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
At some point, we have to decide, okay, those things that I heard and watched and saw modeled in my own family, is that what I believe? And what do I believe? And God used those really challenging, hard times. I'm so grateful for them. I still prefer to be on top of the mountains because it's such a beautiful view. But I know that God does that, and it's the same for me. And He used some really challenging times to help me go, no, I choose God. I choose to follow Christ. That
is such a good word. And it transitions us to what I wanted to bring up next. But first, for those who are listening, we're talking with Dr. Greg Smalley, Vice President of Marriage and Family Formation at Focused on the Family. He's our special guest speaker at this year's WIHS Gala on October 19th. So before we go, Greg, give our listeners a teaser of what you'll be speaking about at the upcoming gala.
Yeah, I think is within any relationship, whether that's marriage or with our kids or good friends, family, whatever, we all long to have a deep connection. All of us, God placed this desire to be fully known and seen. And so how do we do that? Because the temptation is to try to figure out and focus on the technique. Well, if we just have more date nights, if we just have more family gatherings, if we do some hobby, it's never about the thing, the activity that's actually going to help us get to where we want with that deeper connection. And so I'm going to give what I would call my favorite relationship connection hack. How do we really cultivate a deep, ongoing connection with whomever, whether that's a spouse or a child, whoever. And it's probably one of the greatest things that I've learned within my own marriage. And I realized I was doing it wrong for a whole bunch of time and many years, and thus Aaron and I were frustrated and not connected as we are now. So it'll be fun to kind of walk through what God has taught us about how we connect, because if hearts aren't open, we're never going to create connection, and a heart won't open when it feels safe. So we're going to talk a lot about how to create relationships that feel like the safest place on earth, because that's where connection can actually happen.
Fantastic. Well, you've definitely got me eager to hear. I've got all kinds of questions, but we'll wait for the gala. We invite our listeners, if you haven't already bought your tickets, you can call the station anytime and get your tickets and come and meet and hear Dr. Greg Smalley. Before we go, how can folks get in touch with Focus on the Family and become part of those exciting ministries that you were talking about at the beginning?
Yeah, come to focusonthefamily.com. You'll see the marriage tab. See what we're doing. The other place I'd love to connect is Aaron and I, my wife. We do a podcast called Crazy Little Thing Called Marriage.
Yeah.
And you can actually ask a question, and we'll answer that live, send you a book. So we'd love to connect in those ways with you.
Fantastic. Greg, thank you again for your time. God bless you as you continue to make a genuine impact in people's lives. And we can't wait to have you out here in Connecticut for the WIHS Gala.
I can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Blessings. The WIHS Journal is a community news and public affairs program highlighting regional current events and topics of interest, and can be heard Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3:15 a.m., 12:13 p.m., and 5:50 p.m. right here on your station for hope and encouragement. 104.9 WIHS.